Donald Trump's brain did the Windows 95 shutdown noise again. There was like a sort of press gaggle at the White House Easter event yesterday, and Trump was asked about Pete Hegseth. Now, of course, Pete Hegseth is the Secretary of Defense, completely incompetent, no qualifications, who was just caught sharing a second series of war plans on a signal chat, including with his wife. And Trump was asked the most basic question imaginable. Do you remain confident in Pete Hegseth? And Trump snaps and says, why would you even ask me that?
President Trump, do you remain confident in Hegseth? Do you remain confident in Pete Hegseth?
Oh, no.
President Trump, I'm sorry.
Why do you even ask a question like that? We have recruitment that's at an all-time high. The spirit in the armed forces is fantastic. Great confidence.
President Trump.
Why would you even ask a question like that? Trump says. Well, maybe because Pete Hegseth is under investigation, leaking national security secrets, running the Pentagon like a frat house Discord server. And by the way, this is sort of out of school, but as far as the drinking goes, showed up to the White House Easter event yesterday with one sideburn, immediately raising questions as to whether is he drinking, because that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Then came Donald Trump's sort of second attempt to defend Hegseth. This was during the same kind of walk around event at the White House for Easter. And it went about as well as we would expect.
Ask the Houthis how much dysfunction they have.
Ask the Houthis.
Pete's doing a great job. Everybody's happy with him. We have the highest recruitment numbers I think they've had in 28 years. No, he's doing a great job. It's just fake news. They just bring up stories. I guess it sounds like disgruntled employees. You know, he was put there to get rid of a lot of bad people, and that's what he's doing. So you don't always have friends when you do that.
Should he stop using that?
Right. What you just heard is a deeply confused man trying to reboot in real time. Fake news means I have no rebuttal. They just bring up stories means I forgot what the actual story is. Disgruntled employees means everybody hates our guy, but it's their fault. He was put there to get rid of bad people means we wanted a purge. You don't always have friends when you do that. No one likes him and we have no idea why. This was sort of verbal bumper cars. And the real headline here isn't just that Trump can't form a coherent defense of Hegseth, because there is no coherent defense of Hegseth. He was unqualified from day one. It's gone exactly the way we all expected it to. And now some people are acting like they're surprised. Trump actually seems sort of out of the loop. And this is one of the building meta stories of the White House. We all understand that at some basic level, presidents can't be micromanaging everything. And in fact, when they try, sort of like when a CEO tries to micromanage every aspect of a huge organization, it actually causes problems. You have to be able to delegate, but you have to be able to delegate confidently. And this is why choosing the right people is so important. Pete Hegseth is not a guy you can confidently delegate to when you've put him in charge of the Department of Defense and the Pentagon. And so Donald Trump seems to be out of the loop. To some degree, we suspect, because he's being kept out of the loop on some of these things. The signal chat, for example, the briefing that Elon Musk was going to get, and all of these things. But at the same time, it seems as though there is so much insanity and chaos going on simultaneously that Trump quite literally cannot keep up with it. Now, this doesn't mean that Pete Hegseth doesn't have his defenders who are trying to build a more coherent, albeit conspiratorial defense of Pete Hegseth. And that's what I want to talk about next. Many in the audience know my first language is Spanish. I learned English later when I moved to the United States. And these days I do a fair amount of traveling, and I always make an effort to learn some of the new language before I get to the country. I've tried a bunch of methods for this. I keep coming back to the app Babbel, because with Babbel, you really can start speaking a new language in just 3 weeks. Instead of paying hundreds of dollars for classes or fooling yourself with language apps that are basically just simple games, Babbel is designed by real people for real conversations. All of Babbel's tools are approachable. They are rooted in real life situations. They're delivered with conversation-based teaching. You might have seen on my Instagram, I was recently in France. Babbel got me ready last minute. I got to France. I was ready to order food, ask for directions, talk to people at stores and hotels without having to use my phone to translate. There are studies from Yale, Michigan State University, and others that continue to prove that Babbel is better. One study found that using Babbel for 15 hours is like a semester of that language at college. With over 10 million subscriptions sold, Babbel is real language learning for real conversations. Here's a special limited time deal for my audience. Right now, get up to 60% off your Babbel subscription, but only for my audience at babbel.com/Pacman. Rules and restrictions may apply. The link is in the description.